Hello everyone, and today we are back into another top 5 video, and we're going to be talking about the top 5 Loomians that you can find in the Haunted Village. So any Loomian that you can find in the Haunted Village will count, even Loomians from past events, including Halloween and Christmas. So with that out of the way, let's head right onto this list. So, number 5 onto this list was a close one, but I'm going to pick Nevermare. And Nevermare can be found in this event, while it could also have been found in the past few Halloween events. This Loomian is awesome. Has 111 speed, has the plant spirit typing, which is awesome defensively, and it hits extremely hard when you get the critical hits. This can also be found in the Nevermare maze, and let's just say when you find this Loomian in the Nevermare maze, it's extremely scary. But as a PvP Loomian, this Loomian is pretty good, and after a bulk up, this thing can be a very good late game sweeper. It is still a very powerful Loomian today, although it has fallen a little bit over the years. Mainly because it hasn't got any new moves that really spiced it up over the last couple of years, and there are also a lot more Loomians nowadays that can power creep Nevermare. Not to mention that a lot of spirit types does have priority nowadays, so Nevermare is kind of hard to use against other spirit types. Besides that though, Nevermare is really good. Plant Spirit is still one of the better defensive typings in all of Loomian Legacy, and you can still do a lot of work with Nevermare, especially if you get the critical hit. Once the critical hit item will be added, this Loomian can be extremely scary, but as of now, it still deserves number 5 on this list. Number 4 onto this list is going to be a former Uber, which is Ursul. Yes, Ursul used to be an Uber, and while it isn't an Uber anymore, this Loomian is still really good. With sharp claws and 115 melee attack, this thing can nuke a lot of teams. This Loomian can also be found in the Nevermare maze, and just like with the Nevermare, it is a massive jump scare when you get caught by the Ursul. But this thing has really good coverage. Brawler and Spirit Stab with Slapdown as dark coverage. This thing can be very dangerous. And with Sharpen, yeah, this thing is awesome. There are a couple flaws, though, that does hold Ursul back. Melee tanks do wall it at times. Like Obsidian and like Desperatu are two pretty common Loomians that can wall Ursul. Not to mention that it is weak to Spirit, and even though it does have Shadow Sprint, there are a lot of Loomians that have Shadow Sprint, which are faster than Ursul. And since you're quad weak to Spirit, you can get O-code by a Shadow Sprint. Despite that, though, Ursul is still extremely scary. With Slapdown, it can get rid of items. Pep Jab hits extremely hard. Quick Punch is priority. Shadow Sprint is priority. And you can even run Phantom Slash if you want to predict the Vesperatu swapping in. Ursul is still awesome. But it does, with the flaws, it does fall just short of the top 3. But it's still in the number 3 spot. Number 3 onto this list is another Uber. This time, it's Metronet. And this thing is probably still an Uber. Because Hypnotize, Peace of Mind, you win. And even if you don't run Hypnotize, you have Psychoblast, Dark Surge, and Pyrokinesis, which is very good offensive coverage. Not to mention, you have the second best defensive typing in all of Loomian Legacy, as you're only weak to Fire and quad weak to Bug. The only defensive typing is better is Charonics with Spirit Light. And also, unlike Charonics, this thing is 105 speed with Hypnotize, meaning that after Hypnotize, you could snowball damage, which is awesome. And not to mention, its offensive typing is pretty decent as well. The thing that really holds Metronet back is probably the fact that you can only run 4 moves on Metronet and not 5, because if you don't run Hypnotize, you do lose a lot of extra Peace of Minds that could do extra damage. And if you do run Hypnotize, you do lose Mind Stab or Fire coverage, which can definitely hurt Metronet. Despite that, though, Metronet is extremely scary. And with all the new moves it has gotten over the years, makes this thing even more dangerous. And that's why Metronet is number 3 on this list. Number 2 onto this list is one of the best late game cleaners in Gar Golem Attack. This Loomian is the best mixed attacker in all of Loomian Legacy, while also just being one of the best late game cleaners altogether. Has amazing coverage, and it has the highest melee and range attack stat in the entire game. You can even run a mixed Gar Golem where you have melee and ranged attacks, so you can hit on both sides. And with the wind weather, you can actually outspeed all the way to Nimble Protagon. And even without it, with 105 speed is still a lot of speed, meaning that you're going to outspeed a lot of different Loomians. The biggest flaw with Gar Golem attack is that, yeah, it's frail. It dies by, like, neutral hits. It gets O-coded by a neutral hit most of the time. But despite that, Gar Golem attack form is awesome. And if you can get a Master Boost, this thing could sweep a team easily. And I'm not just talking about you need to set up 3 Drudges in order to have a chance to O-code Loomian. No, you can get 1 Master Boost, and that could snowball extra damage all the way. That's how hard Gar Golem attack hits. And it also has a decent defensive typing on top of that. Despite that, though, there is another Gar Golem form, which in my opinion is a little bit better than attack form. But it's still better at number 2. Honorable mentions on the list, and honorable mention number 1 is Lashent. And I wanted to add Lashent over Nevermare on the list, but there is one reason why I didn't add Lashent. It's because you technically need a Cradle in order to evolve this Loomian. So, yeah, this is a pretty good Loomian, but it does fall a little bit short out of the list. It's an awesome Loomian, though. Hits extremely hard, and it has awesome coverage. Honorable mention number 2 is Bar Badger, and Bar Badger would be in the top 3 easily. The problem is that in the event, you're getting the Frankenstein version of this, so you're not getting the extra stats from the Rally Ranch, meaning it does hold the event Bar Badgers back. Despite that, though, Bar Badger is still a top 3 Loomian from this event and a top 20 Loomian in the entire game. The best Loomian in the Haunted Village event is Gar Golem Defense Form. I was finally able to use Gar Golem Defense Form, and yes, this is the best Gar Golem form in the game, and it's also the best Loomian in the Haunted Village event. This Loomian is bulky, has 155 defenses on both sides, and while it does have a low health stat, you could put 200 TPs into health, and this would make it really bulky. It has icicle traps. It has barbs. It has slapdown, mudslide to get rid of other barbs and icicle traps, driving's force, empathize to get health back. You can even run return to sender, and you can even run a attack defensive Gar Golem if you really want to. It's not the greatest, but this Gar Golem defense set is awesome. You have barbs and driving's force. You have icicle traps and driving's force. Not many Loomians can beat that. The only type of Loomians that can beat driving's force and barbs are spirit types that have moves that can get rid of the barbs themselves. This Loomian is awesome. There are not many Loomians that are more annoying than a Gar Golem defense form. And while this thing does have a crucial ice weakness, which does make it sick against icicle traps, it is good against anything else. And that's why Gar Golem defense form deserves number 1 on this list. And here it is, Gar Golem defense form, the best Loomian from the Haunted Village event. The thing that's funny is that this was a Loomian that was in last year's Halloween event, but since it's so good, it continues to be the best Loomian in the Haunted Village. Hope you guys enjoyed this list, and I will see y'all all later. Bye-bye!